there's an interview that you did do though, and that was with Officer Reggie Blaylock. And for people who don't know, he's popped up in my deep dives before, my episodes. He was the off-duty Inglewood Police Department officer who was added security for Biggie's entourage that night. And he was with Paul Offord, who was the head of Bad Boy Security, in a Chevy Blazer that was following behind Biggie's Suburban.
Cooper, I think, found out that there was an Inglewood policeman was working that job, and that he was actually driving that car. And so Chavez Cooper and I, not Chavez, he wasn't on part of that interview. Cooper and I went there to talk to him. So I contacted Inglewood and talked to their watch commander to find out when he was going to be working. And we talked to I think we talked to the captain of the division, because it was like, okay, he looked at his schedule and says he's going to be here on this day, you be here at this time, you can have the interview. And so we said, okay. So that night we drove to Inglewood and went to the watch commander's office and talked, and then they directed us to the captain's office, and that's where we saw, I believe it was the lieutenant. And he says, we were looking for the officer, Blaylock?
Yes, Reggie Blaylock.
Blaylock, yeah. I was going to say Reggie, but, and he came in, and he had that look of, yeah, he knew something was bad. So
yeah, because for people who don't know, he had left the scene after everything. He follows everybody over to the hospital when Biggie goes inside. Biggie's declared dead. As soon as he starts seeing officers and detectives show up, he left.
Yeah.
And you guys were like, why? You had to know.
And yeah, that's how we started talking. We asked him. Well, the lieutenant just told him these officers are from LAPD. They're detectives, homicide detectives, and I suggest you talk to them. And he was sitting there, and he put his head down, and he said, I said, what do you want to know? He says, I want to know, well, first of all, what were you doing there? He's working off duty.
And real quick, before the interview started, you told me something that had to be done.
Oh yeah, I believe, yeah, because we knew it was going to be a touchy situation, and I believe that they took his gun away before he came in. Wow. Because it was just as a precaution, because it would seem the logical thing to do, because you're putting a guy's career life on the line right there, and things go sideways. And,
right.
We've had situations where they make a run for the door. So yeah, if I remember right, they did surrender. He had to surrender his weapon. Wow. And then he told us that he was working unauthorized overtime off duty. He just said that he was attending the party as well, being there. And then at the appropriate time to leave, they all loaded up. And as he's coming up to the intersection there, that's when the shooting went down. He rushed because he had been cut off, and that's what he said. He got cut off coming out of the driveway, and so they're a little bit further back. But they see everything that's transpiring in front of them, and he sped up to the location, and then they took off. And the driver of Biggie's car, with Biggie in it, didn't know where the hospital was. So it was a discussion, where's the hospital? I said, I don't know, where's the hospital? I don't know. Nobody knew where a hospital would be.
Right.
So somehow, I still don't know how they found it.
Which is a horrible security breakdown in itself, that you don't have someone there who's responsible and at any given time where the nearest hospital is. Like when you do film production shoots, that's always on the call sheet every day, is where's the nearest hospital in case a light falls on someone's head.
Right.
You know?
I can imagine.
Right.
But so they somehow found a hospital. Yeah. And Reggie says when he got there, they were trying to get Biggie out of there and get him inside to treat him, and he was there. And like he said, people started showing up, and he got really nervous, and he told that one of the security, the other security, says, "I can't be here. I gotta leave."
When they get to the hospital, they pull him in. I pull up and let the guy fall out. I pull around the side and I sit in the car. Here comes LA. I guess as LA comes up, then the sheriff come up, and they all out there ranting and raving. I got out the car, gave Kenny the keys, say, look, I'm out of here, man. I don't need this.
Wait, so we asked him, well, at the time of the shooting, did you consider trying to engage to see what was going on
with the shooter?
With the shooter, and his thought process was, I'm not supposed to be here in the first place.
Wow.
And if I did that, it would just be a.
It would amplify the whole situation. Now I'm getting into a chase.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I think Kelly asked him, why didn't you chase after the guy?
I'm playing it off like shit. I'm not gonna chase nobody. Hell, I'm not about to get in no shit. And actually, I didn't. When he took off, he was gone. That's why I knew it had to be an SS Impala. It had to be an SS Impala.
And it was one of those. Again, he's not supposed to be here in the first place.
Right.
That's where it kept coming back to.
He said something like, I don't want to get in no shit. I don't want to get in no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was.
And then he did eventually chase, but by then the gun.
The car was gone. But he had an opportunity to at least get good intel on that whole thing, and then he left the scene at the hospital. I think he got a ride back with someone to pick up his car, and was in the wind and didn't report it to anyone, and was sitting on it until knock knock. Guess what?
Did you decide that you were gonna contact us, or you just gonna lie and wait?
No, I was gonna let them contact me. So they're gonna contact me. I know, they're gonna contact me. Yeah.
Didn't you feel that you had some responsibility then?
Yeah, but like I said, I knew this. You know what? When I got to think about, oh shit, man, damn, fucking work when I work, man, they're gonna kill my ass. I'm gonna get bites for days for this. I just said, hey, they'll contact me.
And he said, he's like, he knew you guys were going to catch up with them at some point. It's like, well, if you know it's inevitable, why not?
Right.
Make it easier on yourself. And
yeah, he should have. It would have gone easier. I'm surprised he stayed with the department.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of suspension, if any, he got.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw there was a little article, he retired a few years ago, I think, from Inglewood Police, and I think he retired sergeant. So, when I mentioned it to another retired officer, he was obviously upset about what he'd done, but he said, well, maybe he learned from it, and it was a teachable moment, and who knows.
Yeah, very disappointing when I hear fellow officer act like that or do something like that, and I have no way to justify that.
And then in his defense, I'll say that that officer did apparently go on to have a long career with Inglewood Police. He retired, I think, just a few years ago. I think he retired as a sergeant.
Good.
And so I think he did okay.
He learned his lesson, he made his mistake, and he moved on.
Yeah.
All right, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Who knows? I don't know.
Okay.
Being generous.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was Blaylock and your whole.
That was his whole thing. Didn't want to get in trouble. Bottom line.
Right.